Welcome to the Amped Up Podcast, Monday, July 17th, 2023. BC's been doing a lot of traveling as of late, and I've been collecting a lot of stories in the pro wrestling world. And it's about high time we distribute our thoughts on every single one of those stories, starting at the very top. And new! Naomi Trinity Fatu is hoisting up a new championship. And it's about time that lady has respect put on her name. BC is going to talk all about what it means for her and what it should have been all along. In this very podcast, BC gets amplified on Trinity Fatu's new championship and who was there to witness it. We'll talk all about it. Also, unfortunate news for the WWE Women's Division. Bayley looks to be injured. Referee Jessica Carr throws up the X at a recent live event. Bayley stretchered out. We're also going to talk Pretty Deadly's Elliot Prince injured. Ridge Holland is once again the common denominator. Is he really to blame? Was this just a fluke accident? Ridge Holland has responded, but has since deleted his social media message. Wrestling fans up in arms. Ridge Holland, I don't know if he made matters better or worse. We'll talk all about it in this podcast. Eric Young walks out of WWE because supposedly he didn't want to work with Vincent Kennedy McMahon, the old bastard, in Stamford, Connecticut. A lot of the wrestling community is giving him a pat on the back. They're praising Eric Young for walking away from a situation he didn't feel was right for him. Yet those same individuals, in a very contradicting, hypocritical way, are still giving Paul Levesque McMahon a free pass. They're treating Paul Levesque McMahon like a victim still. Supposedly, he's not happy with how his father-in-law is overriding him, but he refuses to walk away. This grown man, multi-millionaire, set for life, he is getting a pass still. He is still a victim to these people that are praising Eric Young, who's got a lot less money, by the way. But he said, I'm not being treated right, I'm not happy here, and I don't want to work with the old bastard. So at what point do we say Paul Levesque McMahon is not that unhappy? He absolutely loves working with Vince McMahon, and he's there lock in step with every decision being made. Or at the very least, he's enabling every decision. We'll talk about the Eric Young hypocritical situation. Good for him, by the way. But some of the fans, the hypocrisy, the contradictions from that sector of fans that just wants to blame Vince McMahon for everything. Oh, it's so funny. And Paul Levesque McMahon gets to ride off into the sunset every night, laughing his ass off. He can do no wrong. If it's good, it's Paul. If it's bad, it's Vince. It's hilarious. We'll talk about it. Also, Drew McIntyre and his booking, man. A lot of fans are not happy with the way he came back and how he's been booked since. Wait till you hear what they have planned for Drew McIntyre. Also, speaking of Paul Levesque McMahon, new reports are saying that he's not high on Sami Zayn. He once was back in the NXT black and gold days, and now he just sees him as another worn-out version of what Daniel Bryan was. That's probably a good reason as to why we've been seeing Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens in basically nothing. Ever since they won the tag titles at WrestleMania, they've been complete afterthoughts with those titles, doing these weird six-man tags every week on Monday Night Raw. Maybe that's a little bit of a glimpse as to why. We'll discuss that coming up in this very podcast. All of this and a lot more. It's all coming up in this very extended audio format only version of the Amped Up Podcast. There's only one thing left to do. Pop in the earbuds, kick up your feet, or go for a jog, go shopping, go take the fucking kids to school. If their school is out, take them there anyway and tell them you pick them up in 7 hours. Grab your beverage of choice. Hopefully it's a Dunkin' Extra Extra. And let's get amplified. There you go. Popeye has his spinach, BC has his coffee. So where do you guys want to start? Let's go with right from the top. As I said in the cold open, Naomi, Trinity Fatu, has just become the new Impact Wrestling Knockout Champion. She defeated somebody BC respects wholeheartedly, Deonna Purrazzo, via a very badass Starstruck. This was just recently at Slammiversary. Now, Purrazzo, to her credit, 3 title reigns, guys, for over 500 days combined. 3 title reigns, 500 days combined. When people say Impact Wrestling knows how to utilize their females better than most promotions, they're not lying. I mean, I remember Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné, having 3 title reigns, and they lasted about 86 days, roughly, give or take a few days. 3 title reigns, 80-some-odd days. And we all know why. It was just to hot potato it back to Charlie Flair so she could patent her stats via title reigns so she can get closer to her father in a short amount of time. And they actually used a talent like Mercedes Moné, Sasha Banks. They used her as a vehicle for Charlie Flair. Now, if you think about the talent that Sasha Banks has, and you think about how this company utilized Sasha Banks and Naomi, Trinity Fatu, it boggles your dome piece, I'm sure. 3 title reigns, 80-some-odd days, and then you go to Impact and you see somebody like Deonna Purrazzo, a good, damn good talent. 3 title reigns over 500 days, man. It brings you back to Gail Kim, who I believe had 7 title reigns for over 700 days. Gail Kim, who had to literally walk out of WWE on live Monday Night Raw television. It was a battle royal, and she eliminated herself. Maybe not even. I think she went underneath the bottom rope and just said, "I'm out." Walked right past Vince and Kennedy McMahon, did not pass go, did not collect $200, just said, "Check you, peace." And she never came back, obviously. I don't know if she'd be welcomed back, but Gail Kim was one of that's right, I say is, one of the best female talents in the world of pro wrestling. And to see how she was booked in that company, but you shouldn't be surprised. You have somebody like Xia Li. Xia Li, do you see how she's being booked right now in WWE? Of course you don't. It's rhetorical. Nobody sees how she's being booked. You know why? She's not being booked. Yeah, that's a separate issue and a separate problem for WWE. And of course, people like Xia Li. But you get these reigns, 7 reigns over 700 days for Gail Kim, Purrazzo, 3 title reigns over 500 days. And then you see somebody like Trinity Fatu show up, and she's had about 7 matches in Impact, correct? 5 single bouts from what I recall. 2 of them were tag bouts. One of them was a multi-person schmaz. I think at least a 6-man, possibly an 8-man. And then the other tag was a straight-up tag. That was actually with Purrazzo, if memory serves correct. Trinity tagged up with Purrazzo. I think that was a match with Giselle Shaw, Savannah Evans. And then the other 5 of those 7 matches were straight single bouts. One of them, Slammiversary, defeating Purrazzo via that badass Starstruck, hoisting up that Impact Knockout Championship. Guys, this is somebody, okay, to truly give you my thoughts on this title victory and what it means for her going forward. We have to rewind just a little bit. Just a little bit. Let's rewind. And let's just look at her last 10 matches in WWE before her and Sasha Banks said, no. Are you guys seeing a theme here with people like Gail Kim and so many others that literally have to walk out of, it is their dream job to work for WWE. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you guys would love to work for World Wrestling Entertainment, even though it's a complete circus, even though you may not like Vincent Kennedy or Paul Levesque McMahon or maybe both. It's a dream job for so many. That's a dream job for people like Sasha Banks. She's told you that. Trinity Fatu. The last 10 matches for Naomi in WWE. Do you guys realize that 9 out of those 10 were tag team matches against Shayna Baszler and Natty Neidhart? And guys, this is not like a more dominant version of Shayna that we're seeing right now to leading to SummerSlam to take on Ronda Rousey. No, guys, this is a Shayna Baszler at the time. The same booking as Natty. We had fun on this channel. We called them the Fruit Roll-Up Queens because every single Natty and Shayna Baszler match at the time lasted only 2 minutes and they always lost via Fruit Roll-Up. So we deemed them the Fruit Roll-Up Queens. Now, Naomi and Sasha Banks were given the tag titles, and they were told that we're going to create a division around you. And you guys will be the focal point, the centerpiece. Now, if that sounds familiar, that's exactly the same boat of lies they told Sasha Banks the first time when she was with Bayley. They said, we're going to put the titles on you, and we're going to build a division around you. You guys will be the focal point. You'll be the centerpiece. Just hang with us. Let us develop this. They waited, and then they waited some more, and then they waited some more, and they realized something. They lied. There was no division being created. The Iconics! Much respect to the Iconics, too. It's an unpopular take, but I didn't mind the Iconics. They were not there to be the best wrestlers, but they had a shtick, and they were there for justified reasons and could put a lot of teams over if done correctly. But the Iconics winning titles at WrestleMania, I mean, is this really what they had in mind when they told Sasha and Bayley they're going to have something for them, a real division? No, this was just a consolation prize because they didn't want to give Sasha Banks and Bayley any individual credit. That was already reserved for people like Charlie Flair and people coming in like the Lacey Evans, who they really wanted to push. So they were lied to, and Sasha basically left. She had to leave. A dream job for somebody like Mercedes Moné Sasha Banks, and she had to leave because that's how bad it got and how many lies were being driven her way. So then they bring her back in and they say the same lies. Okay, now you go with your other good friend, Trinity Fatu Naomi, and we're going to try this again. And this time, we're really going to build a division around you. You guys hold the titles. Just hang out in a tag division. It's non-existent now, but we're going to build one. You guys hang out there because we still have to push the Charlie Flair agenda. We still have to get her to 16, 17, and beyond title reigns. So you just hang out over here. And what happened was they said, oh, all right, fine. They got the titles. Nothing happened. They waited. Nothing happened. They waited some more. Nothing happened. They waited and they waited. 2 straight months of matches against Shayna Baszler and Natty, the Fruit Roll-Up Queens. And if you guys are wondering, that's 9 out of their last 10 in WWE. What was the other match, BC? Well, it was with Nikki Cross and a wrestler named Doudrop. Doudrop. That's a real thing. Oh, how bad we felt for Piper Niven at the time. Doudrop. That's what they gave talents like Sasha Banks and Naomi. 2 amazing wrestlers. That's right. I said amazing. Not just Sasha Banks, who we all know is so damn good. Naomi is better than Charlie Flair skill-wise. That's right. I said it. And that's not even a hot take. Have you ever seen a Trinity Fatu Naomi match? She's a highlight reel. How does Charlie Flair beat her? What does Charlie do over Naomi? I've said this 1,000 times on this channel. I'll probably have to say it 1,000 times more. Natural selection, a moonsault that never connects, and a figure 8 leg lock. What else does Charlie do? She doesn't like to sell. To the point where we had a lot of fun on this channel. Many moons ago, there was a Nia Jax versus Charlie Flair match. And I told my audience the day of, I said, guys, get your popcorn. Get your coffees here. Because that's going to be fun. Because Nia Jax hates to sell. And Charlie Flair hates to sell. They're going to really fight in there. And what happened that night, guys? They really fought. It was all over the dirt sheets. They really fought. Nia Jax later would admit that that did happen, but they were able to collect themselves, and when they got backstage, they were not fighting. But they hate to sell. That's how Becky Lynch got that broken nose. Nia Jax had like 3 or 4 ladies on her. She didn't like that. She just brushed them all aside, turned around and clocked whoever was there. And it was Becky. Knocked her right out of Survivor Series when she was supposed to have that high profile match against Ronda Rousey. So Charlie doesn't even like to sell. She's got a few moves. She's a stone's throw away from Mr. 5 Moves of Doom, Jonathan Cena. Meanwhile, Naomi's over here, Trinity, being a human highlight reel every match. Have you seen what she did at matches like the Royal Rumble? Just visualize what she could do in Money in the Bank ladder matches. Yeah, Naomi would get you a lot more excited than seeing Charlie Flair in these type of matches. That's the athleticism. That's just how good Trinity Fatu naturally is. She should have been the natural selection. But no, the Charlie Flair agenda 8 years later is still going strong with no connection to the majority of the crowd. To the point where Trinity had to walk out with Mercedes Moné, Sasha Banks. They literally dropped the titles on Mr. John Laurinaitis' desk. Wait a second, get back here. You're not going to walk out. I have the power of the people, and by the power invested in me, I demand you come back. And instead, they turned around, flipped off Jonathan Laurinaitis, and they walked out. And Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné, is born. She goes and wins the IWGP Women's Championship. She was about to be the strong champion, by the way. Congrats, much respect to Willow Nightingale, but she was supposed to be that champion as well. She was going to create waves by banking on herself, betting on herself. And Trinity, she waited a little bit longer, wanted to see what her next steps should be. Should she join her husband back in WWE, Jimmy Uso? Or does she just bank on herself, bet on herself, gamble on herself, and create her own path, create her own waves? She went to Impact Wrestling. A lot of fans question that. A lot less eyeballs. Is it really going to matter? Will it make a difference? 7 matches in, and she's already got respect placed on her name. And the sad part is that 10 years plus in WWE, in 7 matches, Impact Wrestling put more respect on that female's name than WWE ever could have. And that's a shame. 7 matches is all it took for Impact Wrestling to place respect on her name, to place a championship where it belongs. Much respect and love to the Mickie Jameses, the Gail Kims, the Deonna Purrazzos, and every single Knockouts champion and Knockouts female that competed in that division, past, present, and what will be. But I don't care if it was 7 or 77 or 157, however many matches that she had an Impact, that title was going to Trinity Fatu. There's no BS about, oh, she hasn't earned it yet. It's only been 7 matches. A lot of us would look at it and say 7 matches too many. Now, you can say you can build a division around Trinity Fatu, but honestly, you could do that with Deonna Purrazzo as well. You could do that with so many of these females in Impact Wrestling. So Trinity Fatu is just going to elevate that status. Elevate the entire company, because what I've seen over the last 48 hours is more Impact Wrestling headlines than I've seen in the last 48 days and possibly 48 months. I am so happy for Trinity Fatu. You guys know how high I speak of her and how much respect I place on her name. So to witness that and to see that raw emotion, I know a lot of you guys maybe have not have seen the match, but if you can at least come across the finish, you will see raw emotion after she taps out Deonna Purrazzo. That's right, not just victory. You're talking about Purrazzo here, 3-time champ over 500 days, an immaculate talent for that company. Has done so much for that company. And she does the job double over for Trinity Fatu. Taps out. Taps out. And the raw emotion from Trinity Fatu. Lays right there on the canvas. Lights are dimmed, her hands over her face in tears. And what's really cool is backstage, former members of Team Bad, her really good close friends, IRL, Mercedes Moné, Sasha Banks, and Tamina Snuka greeted her immediately backstage. There was a nice photo that was taken. I believe Trinity actually posted it up, but a really good photo was taken of the three of them right after she won that championship. And it's interesting because Trinity was there when Mercedes won that IWGP Women's Championship. So, how special, man. How special how it all comes full circle. And if Mercedes did not get injured, you talk about respect put on her name, championships. And they did that by just walking away. They felt they were not being treated fairly. They felt that their services were better than what they were actually given. They felt they were not being appreciated, and they just walked away. At what point do you just say, enough? It's not even worth it. I'm just going to walk away. Right? You have respect for yourself, and you walk away. Eric Young is in the headlines as of late. You guys remember Sanity, the group? Eric Young recently walked away. Now, the word coming out is that it was because he didn't want to work with Vincent Kennedy McMahon, the old bastard in Stamford, Connecticut. And because of that, the wrestling, a big part of the wrestling community is giving Eric Young such praise, right? You didn't feel comfortable, or you just didn't feel you'd be used in a justified way, appreciated with Vincent Kennedy, so you walked away. And everybody's praising that. It's amazing when Naomi and Sasha Banks walked away, they were villainized, right? They were called all these names. They were called unprofessional. Even WWE went on air to claim such. Because you know how females are looked at in the wrestling world. Let's just trash everything is what these fans, and I use that term very loosely for those type of fans, let's just trash that. But when Eric Young does it, when Eric Young walked away, oh, good job, pal. You stood up for yourself. Fuck Vince, right? You got that section of the fans. Again, I use that loosely. Just thinking about it, but they just blame Vince McMahon for everything. If there's a cloud in the sky, it's Vince McMahon's fault. If they didn't put pepperoni on your pepperoni pizza, it's Vince McMahon's fault. If you got a flat tire on the way to pick up your kids, you blame Vince McMahon for the flat tire and for having kids. They just blame Vince for everything. It's so weird. These people are so fucking strange. They won't say one thing about Paul Levesque, who's in every meeting, enabling, right there, ass kissing, not changing a damn thing, and staying there so nobody else can come in and try to make real change. It's very strange. So Eric Young walks away and everyone praises it. Paul Levesque stays and everyone calls him a victim. I feel so bad for Paul Levesque. If only he could walk away like Eric Young walked away. Well, what do you mean? I gotta get a sip of coffee. Let BC get a sip of coffee because I'm really, truly, in this podcast, I'm gonna try to understand. Let me get a swig. All right, let's play this game that Paul Levesque is a victim here and that he cannot leave WWE. Why? What do you mean? He is a grown man, near or at least, he's about 50 years old, right? Maybe older than 50 years old. But he's a 50-year-old man who can walk away from a job at a pet store. He can walk away from bagging groceries. He can walk away from a banker's position on Wall Street making good money. But people do it every day on Wall Street. They walk away. They walk away from big money and a lot of power because they know they're not being treated right and they bank on themselves. They know they're going to be okay. They'll find other things and be huge. Sporting teams, Walt Disney World. How many times do you hear CEOs walk away because they're not in the right situation? CEOs for companies like Walt Disney World, bro. And WWE is no different. Shane McMahon has walked away from his father's company and he created his own multi-million-dollar company, guys. And he sold it and made a ton of money. If you're truly not happy, you bank on yourself, you walk out and you create something better. That's why you're praising Eric Young, is it not? Good job for you, man. Vince McMahon was going to hurt what you were trying to create or not help it, not appreciate you. So you walked away from the old bastard in Stamford and you give him praise. But for Paul Levesque, you act like his hands are literally tied. There's nothing he can do. When Vince walks into the building, he ties his hands. He tells him to sit in the corner. He looks at what Paul Levesque had written down on a sheet. He overrides everything, rips it up. Or he remotely, that's a word we use all the time for Vince, right? Vince is remotely changing the scripts. Nobody knows a damn thing. Nobody knows where the fuck he is or what he's changing. But that's what we like to say hours before Raw, right? Vince McMahon's fingerprints are over the show. Paul Levesque is in a closet right now. They're not letting him out until the show is over. Paul Levesque is treated like a victim. BC, what do you expect? He can't leave. His hands are tied, man. I'm not understanding what you're saying. What do you mean he can't leave? Under contract, you could still get out. You're Paul Levesque. Are you kidding me? Stephanie McMahon walked away before her talent contract was ever up. Shane McMahon did it 3 times. No, basically, Vince isn't letting him go. But no, it does not work that way. Obviously, he can leave at any time. He is staying there because if you followed Paul Levesque McMahon's whole trajectory throughout his career, this is what he does. He attaches himself to power, he kisses that ass, and he's going nowhere. His wife took off. His brother-in-law took off. His mother-in-law took off. There's only one person that never did. It's the dude that always attached himself to the power, Paul Levesque McMahon. And there's a section of fans that just think it's Vince, 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 and poor Paul. If only he could change things. If only he was given full power. You ain't gonna get that much different. There was a time frame where he had about, I would easily say, if you know how to dissect these shows and know what's Vince and what's Paul Levesque McMahon, 90% of some of those shows, this was back when the investigation was first undergoing with Vincent Kennedy, right? About 9, that's when you started to see the Candice LeRae's and all of them were coming back and getting the name changes, and it was all smoke and mirrors, no doubt. But Paul Levesque had massive control over that. You started to see wrestling matches get longer, people were coming back, but Paul Levesque showed you from the jump the magic that was there for a couple 2-3 years with Black and Gold NXT. That magic was gone. And don't forget, NXT was handed to him by Dusty Rhodes. The masterminds like William Regal is what made NXT Black and Gold so special. Paul Levesque McMahon got to fly in every now and again and be Papa H. And he had everybody look up at him like he's Papa H and they're his children. It was very strange, and it was easy formatting, right? You have 1 hour of television on the WWE network, by the way, 1 hour, and you just set up 5 matches for a takeover. That's a philosophy, a format, and a formula that Vince McMahon already created back in the 80s. 1 hour of superstars of wrestling, and it leads to pay-per-view matches that we actually care about. Not 5, but we'd have 7 or 8 on a good show. Vince McMahon created that's an easy formula. But you have 3 hours on a Monday night, you got 2 hours on SmackDown, and Paul Levesque has told you in interviews he doesn't know what to do with all this TV. Paul Levesque has shown you he's more of a broken down old man now. I mean, you look at him at the media scrum. You know, he copies Tony Khan now, what AEW is doing with the media scrums. He's got glasses on now, wrinkles on top of wrinkles. The dude was put up in a hospital bed for a while with a heart condition. I mean, this guy's broken and beaten down, and you expect him to be the Triple H of Black and Gold. Well, that's when you have the right people around him, the Dusty Rhodeses to the William Regals and a lot of people in between. It's amazing. You know, you see AEW, CM Punk, Phil Brooks is going to be our savior. How'd that work out for you? How's the 500,000 viewers every Saturday night? How did that save AEW? Dynamite went backwards this week in the ratings from the week previous. They're about to dip into the 700s again. How did Phillip Brooks, CM Punk save AEW? Give it time, BC. No, I'm not going to give it time. You have a first impression. Punk had a chance, a second shot at a first impression. You got to take that. Fans told you immediately by the second week of Collision, no thanks, we saw what we needed to see, no cliffhanger, no great storyline with Punk, we don't care about it. And in WWE, Paul Levesque McMahon is supposed to be your savior. What evidence do you have? There is nothing that Paul Levesque has done that has captivated people to need to tune into the next week. You're not seeing Vince McMahon 5 hours a week with Raw and SmackDown, guys. You're not. You don't want to believe it, right? He said, I'm not in the weeds. Well, yeah, some of that's BS. When he feels like he wants to be in those weeds, he jumps in head first. But a lot of these shows, if you know how to critique Paul Levesque McMahon's work, this is Paul Levesque McMahon. You're seeing it. The way the brawls are backstage, that's Paul Levesque McMahon. He used to do the same type of brawls in NXT. The way you're getting the longer matches. And so many other things, it's Paul Levesque McMahon. It's not captivating people. You're getting longer matches because Paul Levesque McMahon is making sure of it. Okay, but there's no reason to care about the matches. Nothing is happening at the end of the matches to make us give a shit about the next week. Or about these individuals 10 minutes from the match. Eric Young walks out of WWE. He doesn't want to work with Vince McMahon. We praise it. And then we turn back around, right? This is after we said, oh, Naomi and Sasha are unprofessional. How dare they walk away from Vincent Kennedy? Unprofessional. Eric Young does it, and we say, wow, good job, Eric Young. You did good, man. You stood up for yourself. Paul Levesque McMahon, he's just a victim. He can't leave, basically. He's Vince McMahon. He is just, it's a wrap. He's got to be right there with Vince, and he's got to say yes, Vince, to everything. Or then you have those people that go, well, BC is not stupid. He's not just going to leave WWE, man. That's such a good job. I just feel so bad for him. If only he had all the power. He's not going to leave because of why? Power and money? As I aforementioned, every single day, people are leaving high power, high value jobs, career jobs, CEO positions, because it's not right and they're standing up for themselves. They're betting and banking on themselves. If more people were like Trinity Fatu and Eric Young, more people like Paul Levesque McMahon were like Trinity Fatu and Eric Young, yeah, maybe we would be better off. Allow somebody to come in and really have real arguments with Vince McMahon to try to knock some sense into him. Because Paul Levesque McMahon is not doing it. Paul Levesque McMahon is just hurting it more than anything. Because he sure as hell hasn't been helping. He just rolls over and says, "Yes, sir, my tribal chief, sir." That's right. Now go get me a coffee, you doofus son-in-law. Yes, my tribal chairman. Come on, man. Keep that same energy. If you're praising Eric Young, then you better be coming down hard on Paul Levesque McMahon for not doing such. And I hope if you're praising Eric Young, you're not one of those individuals that shit on Naomi and Sasha Banks when they walked out. Moving on, we'd like to discuss a couple of injuries, man. This is huge. Let me get a swig of coffee because this is actually big, man. I'm going to start with the latest one. We're still, as of the recording of this podcast, we're still trying to get more word. That's a good extra from the fine folks at Duncan. Bayley was recently injured at a house show. I believe it is, Salisbury, Maryland. I believe. Is that like the steak? Am I saying that correctly? Salisbury. What the fuck is the... Wait, I had it down. Literally, when I say I'm trying, man, I got these notes on like posties here. I'm trying to find the right postie here, man. I told you, I do my research and my due diligence for you guys, man. Listen, Salisbury, yes. Isn't that like the steak? Anyway, to the fine folks of Salisbury, Maryland, I hope you guys enjoyed yourself at this house show. Unfortunately, Bayley was injured. It looks to be a knee injury from what we're being told by people live in attendance. Referee, my favorite referee in the business, Jessica Carr, threw up the X, signaling, of course, a severe injury that needs immediate attention. This was during a fatal four-way match with Asuka, Charlie Flair, and Bianca Belair. So we wish Bayley a very speedy recovery. First, we got to find out what it is. Now, I believe it was an ACL that kept her out most of last year, correct? I think it was an ACL. Sometimes it's MCL, sometimes it's ACL, MCL, and then there's a third one too, like a meniscus something. I don't know. There's a lot of injuries with the knee. Now, if this is a knee injury, guys, this could be the same exact injury. If it's the same leg... Oh, man, I don't even know, man. Or it could be the other leg because sometimes you overcompensate. That happened with one of my favorite New York Yankees, Hideki Matsui. He was an Iron Man. He never missed a game. He was so dependable. Out there in left field every game. And one day, his leg blew out, his knee. And this is a guy who never got injured. He was very dependable. Leg blew out. He came back from injury after the next season. And his other knee blew out. And we're like, wait, this guy never got injured for years. All of a sudden, this freak accident with his leg. And the next season, his other knee blows. It's called overcompensation, is what people in the medical field call it. It's when you're putting so much more strain on your other limb because your other one is trying to get better and heal. So now all of the pressure, everything is now on your other leg. Same thing happens with your arms. You're using something much more in a much different way to make up for the lack of your other arm or leg in this scenario. So I hope that makes sense, guys. Overcompensation, if we find out it's the other leg of Bayley, I bet you it's in connection with her injury last year. So this is not good for Bayley, man. If she's out for another 9 months out of the year, wow, you talk about bad luck with somebody who is such a phenomenal talent, and WWE has just yet to get her booking correct. Her as a heel is way better than Buddy Bailey, the super face. No, this Bailey absolutely could and should have worked from day one, especially when you hook her up with Dakota Kai and Io Shirai, Io Sky, Damage Control. There's no reason they should have been booked this poorly. So we do wish Bailey all the best. BC is going to try to find out more information. On the injury front, this is unfortunate. Ridge Holland was with Butch, I believe, or was it Sheamus? No, Butch was in a fatal four-way. So I think this was Sheamus and Holland versus Pretty Deadly this past week on SmackDown. There was a belly-to-belly, Holland to Elton Prince of Pretty Deadly, a belly-to-belly. Now, you guys know I've covered this belly-to-belly from Ridge Holland so many times. It is very dangerous. Ridge Holland just does not do bellies-to-belly right. Something is wrong. You guys remember in NXT, I think it was, correct? Johnny Gargano took a belly-to-belly, flipped upside down on his dome piece, man, and he was shook. They literally, I don't know if they did throw up the X or not. I think he did try to continue that match. But Johnny Gargano was fucked up from that belly-to-belly from Ridge Holland. Now, you fast forward, he gets shot up to the main roster for some reason. Not at all. Ridge Holland, you would think, would be up to the main roster that quickly. He was nowhere near ready. But he delivers a belly-to-belly to Big E on the outside of the ring, and he just puts him right on his head. And Big E actually breaks his neck. That was absolutely a botch, guys. I mean, Ridge Holland just he didn't get the height on the belly to belly. So that was Johnny Gargano, Big E, and then because I critique pro wrestling, it's just what I'm really good at, and I dissect these Ridge Holland matches, guys. There was 100 other scenarios where Ridge Holland is really, really rough around the edges, man. Literally and figuratively. So then you see this belly to belly, and Elton Prince is injured. We believe it is a separated shoulder. And once again, the common denominator is Ridge Holland. The same damn move, guys. Now, Holland took to social because he took a lot of flack for this. I'm not saying go and just call him a bunch of names and come down hard on him. That's not going to accomplish anything. What needs to happen is just retrain. It's not even just going down to NXT because now you're putting them in harm's way. He needs to be talked to, discussed, and there's certain things that should not be being done right now. The belly-to-belly needs to just be done with Ridge Holland. Even if it's just, you say, well, BC, every one of those situations is just a fluke, man. It's just bad luck. Okay, then the belly-to-belly for Ridge Holland is just jinxed. Then that alone should tell you just stop. You're getting no luck on this thing. It's just bad, bad, bad all the time. People are getting fucked up from your belly-to-belly. Just stop. So a lot of people were, it became a big story because it was Ridge Holland. So Holland actually took to social and he sent out a message. Now I have the quote. It has since been deleted because it did not help anything. It actually made it worse. But this is what Holland said, and I quote, "So to set people straight before they get all pissy, it wasn't the belly to belly. It was a wonky landing from the pounce. It's out of my control. Wishing Elton a speedy recovery." So Holland says it was not the belly-to-belly move itself. It was the landing. He called it a wonky bounce. Out of my control. That's what's wrong with the tweet, I think it was. I don't know. There's a million of these social platforms. I think it was a tweet. That's what's wrong with this. When he says out of my control, that's the problem. You're a pro wrestler. The way that person is landing should be completely in your control. When he says out of my control, never, and I do mean ever, do you want to hear those words from a pro wrestler? Out of my control. Are you serious? He actually put that, out of my control. It was a wonky landing. That's not somebody you want to work with. Now, I have I have friends that are wrestling around the world. When I say around the world, I mean like 3 of them right now out of the country. And they break their backs, literally and figuratively, for this profession. I can speak for all of them right now, and BC has been in those rings himself. I can speak for myself, for my friends, and probably the entire wrestling world, all the wrestlers, when I say no wrestler wants to hear the words "out of my control" with a wonky landing. So you can be in the ring and whatever move you're performing, they don't know how they're going to land. It's out of your control once you flip them in the air. And how they land is how they land. No wrestler wants to hear that, guys. That's what happened to Big E. Once he went off of his feet, Holland just went completely backwards with no flip. And Big E broke his neck. That's what happened to John Gargano, who is not a big dude. Once he left his feet, he was fucked up afterwards with a wonky landing. This isn't a blame game, by the way. This isn't, oh, Ridge Holland, man, what are you doing? No. This isn't working. These belly-to-bellies are literally fucking people up. And the only thing he has as an excuse or reasoning is, well, once they're in the air, it's out of my control. It's just a wonky landing. Yeah, Big E took a wonky landing. John Gargano took a wonky landing. Elton, what the fuck is this dude? Elton Prince. Yeah, he took a wonky landing, all right. Everybody's taking a wonky landing and getting fucked up. And I'm not just talking concussions like John Gargano. I'm talking separated shoulders like Elton. I'm talking broken necks like Big E. And if you keep letting this dude do these belly-to-bellies, how much further do you think this goes, man? You went from a broken neck. It could have been even worse. At what point do you let him keep doing this until it unfortunately does get worse? So nobody's saying he meant to do this. The problem is it's reckless. Ridge Holland is not performing these moves correctly. They're wonky landings because of a reason. These wrestlers are not feeling comfortable in the arms of Ridge Holland. That's what this means. So even if you were to dissect this to the point to say, well, right here is where Big E should have leaped more, BC. So it's a little bit more on Big E. Right here, Elton tweaked a little bit to the right. If he just stayed straight, he would have landed fine. So it's Elton. Something is wrong where they don't feel comfortable. So even if you say that it's on them, it's still a common denominator at this point, man. It's a common denominator. You see what I'm saying? If it's 1 or 2 times, ooh, 1 time is one thing. Twice, man, what a coincidence. That's crazy. 3 times and beyond, you are now in what is called a trend. And that trend needs to be stopped, man. There's no way that this dude can continue to do these belly-to-bellies. I would pull him off the road, and a lot needs to be fixed with Ridge Holland. But I've been saying that before the Elton incident, guys. I said that with Big E. I told you guys before the Big E broken neck shit that Ridge Holland is doing a lot of shit that's injuring people. Anyway, moving on, because that's an unfortunate thing that we even have to discuss. Guys, I want to go over to Brian Pillman Jr. recently left AEW All Elite Wrestling. He's been doing some work with other promotions, by the way, and I don't know if he's signed. Maybe MLW it's called. I think he had a little bit of an agreement with them. I don't know if it's a long-term contract, but he was. It can't be anything definitive because he was just at the Performance Center recently. And a lot of fans were able to see him. He took some pics. He was very cordial, very polite with a lot of people. And the latest word we're hearing is WWE is very high on Brian Pillman Jr. So it looks to be, whether it's sooner rather than later, near future, or in the extended future, it looks to be Brian Pillman Jr. is WWE bound. I don't know how you guys feel about that. Do you think AEW lost a very good talent that could have and should have been something? Or do you think it's no harm, no foul, no loss? I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say, but Brian Pillman Jr. looks to be, in the not so long future, it looks to be WWE bound. Moving on, Triple H, not too high on Sami Zayn, we are hearing. That's right. Now, you go back to NXT Black and Gold, and Sami Zayn was given a lot. Sami Zayn was a focal point. Sami Zayn was really catching a lot of the pro wrestling world's attention by just the moves he was doing, the matches he was having. So you think that he's a Paul Levesque McMahon guy. Latest report we're getting is that they're not high at all on Sami Zayn. David Meltzer actually BC was hearing about 3 days ago that they have literally nothing for Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. And that's why you've been seeing them in these 6-man tags every Monday night with no real trajectory. These goofy comedy segments backstage. But every week they're tagging up with Cody Rhodes or Sethington Rollins or Scooter McGee, Matt Riddle. And David Meltzer, of all people, just in the last 24 hours, actually backs up his own claims that he's hearing anyway, that WWE powers that be, I think was the term that he used. They're not high on Sami Zayn, and I think the words that he used is they look at him as just another guy, and they don't care about his trajectory. Now, the words again that he used was they look at him as just another guy. BC is putting in a few more words there. They basically don't care about their trajectory because that's what that means. They don't care about him. He's just another guy. I think Meltzy said also that they look at him as a fluke, how he got over. And listen, I don't ever put over Meltzy Boy or his stories. Trust me on that. All right. You always have to take what he's saying with a grain of salt. But when I hear something that's literally backing up what I've been hearing, then I know there is a lot more to it. It's no longer just a rumor or what we think. There's a lot of substance to it now. So that's why I feel comfortable enough giving you guys this story, because there is people like Meltzy who is hearing that from a different sector. So that tells you that it's making its rounds, that Sami Zayn is not a priority in that company. It's what they do with the tag team titles, whether it's females or the males. They throw them on individuals and they stuff them to the side, right? It's a way to shut everybody up. Shut up the talent and shut up the fans that like them. Because they don't have any significant or relevant tag division. Not for the females, not for the males. Right? The tag divisions in WWE are non-existent. So you say for the females, I have to think about who the champions even are. Hold on. Liv Morgan, Raquel. That's correct. Right? And that's just hot potato. Before that, it's Ronda and Shayna. Before that, it was it Raquel again? Who the fuck had him before that? I don't even know who had him, guys. It's hot potato. And Raquel has a new tag team partner every other week because everybody that tags with her gets injured. First it was Shotzi, she got in. Or no, first it was Aaliyah, she got injured. Then Shotzi came in, Shotzi got injured. Then Liv Morgan came in, Liv got injured. Shotzi came back, got injured again. Slight injury, but still injured. And then Liv Morgan just had to come back. This is the 5th tag team partner for Raquel. A couple of them were duplicates. If I'm in WWE and if you get told, if you're a female, I should say, and you get told you're going to be tagged up with Raquel, just take off with Eric Young at that point. Pull a Gail Kim, get out of there because you're getting injured. It's the same as getting tagged up with Raquel Rodriguez. You might as well be in there in a match with Ridge Holland because you're going to get injured. But I don't even know who the tag champs are anymore in WWE. For the men, you have good tag teams. You would never know it because they're not utilized correctly. Nobody cares about the tag division. Viking Raiders, Alpha Academy, Street Profits, New Day when they come back from injury, at least Xavier and Kofi. All of these teams, man, it all means nothing. So they put the titles onto Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, give them the Mania moment, and they have been useless, meaningless, irrelevant afterthoughts ever since. They wait to the end of the show, end of 3 hours of Monday Night Raw. They stuff them in a 6-man tag. And if you look at the viewership, the third hour is always the least. The last segment is so low in viewership. And that's where they stuff them. So, it goes in line with everything that we are hearing. in the community that they're just not high on Sami Zayn. It's almost like they're cooling him down. We said that with LA Knight until they realized we were not shutting up about LA Knight, man. This is the dude, put the rocket on him, or he's going to himself, and we're going to be right there with him. This is a situation where they're like, we can cool off Sami Zayn. We just stuff him over here, man. And then we're not going to take flack because we put the tag title on him. We put him in a main event of one of the WrestleMania nights. So they can't say that we're doing them dirty. But now it's been months since Mania, and it's about time we call it what it is. Yeah, you ain't using them properly. It might not be being done dirty because we know that's how Asuka's been done, even with a championship. Maybe it's not at that level yet, but it's headed that way. Paul Levesque McMahon, not too high on Sami Zayn these days. And the word that BC... this is exactly how it was told to me, man. I wasn't going to say this. I don't know if I teased this in the cold open, so I might as well say it again anyway. And if I didn't, then I'm going to say it. This is the way it was told to me. Paul Levesque McMahon looks at Sami Zayn like just a lesser version of what Daniel Bryan was during the Yes Movement. And we know that Paul Levesque McMahon did not like that movement, did not care for Daniel Bryan. So, I mean, it all looks to be holding a lot more substance and weight, man. When I first heard these stories, I didn't want to say anything because I was like, I'll find out more. You know, I got to see how he's booked more and see if there could be some truth to this. But now you got people like Melty Boy who's hearing the same exact thing from a different sector because I know he didn't hear it from the people I heard it from. So I feel confident enough to tell you guys that story. Sami Zayn, ooh, it ain't looking good. And I don't know about Kevin Owens. I didn't hear anything about him. It looks like he's just tied up to the wrong dude at the time, man. They're holding titles in a non-existent division. So what good is holding titles if the division is non-existent? Are you a champion of anything? Anything of relevance? No. Moving on, guys. How long have we been? You know what? That might have to be. What's the stories I got here, man? I don't know how long this would. You know what? All right. I'll do this last one, man. It's getting up there in time. Drew McIntyre. When he first came back at Money in the Bank, you know how BC felt about it. If you caught that live, Good, the Bad, and the Ugly of Money in the Bank, you know exactly how I felt about it. I could not believe, after all that time off since Mania, they brought back Drew McIntyre just to be the regular same old dude, the same face, in the same feud that he was in before Mania with Gunther. The same Drew McIntyre, guys. He gets a pop from the UK crowd, and that's it. I told you guys that was going to be his peak. And sure enough, here we are weeks later, and they have him clowning around, literally clowning around with Scooter McGee, Matthew Riddle, because they know Matt Riddle by himself isn't drawing a dime. That's why they stuck him with Randall Orton. That's why they're trying to recreate that magic with the Drew Snoozentire. But it's not working. It's not working at all for either one of them. But now, more of the wrestling community is seeing what BC saw from the jump. That this is not how you book Drew McIntyre. This dude came back. We had such high hopes. It's the same Drew McIntyre that's kind of average, mid AF. In fact, it might even be worse now that he's a circus sideshow with Scooter McGee. A lot of fans are unhappy, and BC will be leading that charge. I don't blame them. This is not, you cannot tell me this is the best you can do. You can do for Drew. This can't be, bro. BC had a great concept, and to WWE's credit, and this has substance and weight, they were thinking upon Drew's return of turning him heel to go for that newly created Participation World Championship. They were at least thinking about it. That's actually true, guys. I heard that from more than one reputable source. And they decided to just go the average AF route. Bring him back as a face, get the UK pop, and then we'll stuff him somewhere on the show. But if he came back and in the UK took out Sethington Rollins, Imagine the massive pop at the beginning and the massive boos as he turns heel in the UK. And then a heel Drew McIntyre in the future wins that participation trophy. Then and only then can we start to look at that title as less than and a real championship. I think a heel Drew could have done something special with that. Instead, this is the version of Drew McIntyre that we're getting. Nobody, even if you're a diehard, tried and true Drew McIntyre fan, you cannot tell me that this is how you want to see this dude. For the foreseeable future, tagging up with Scooter McGee and joking about going to the local pub and doing some 420 shit. That's Drew McIntyre. Nah, come on, man. There's got to be more. Is he completely ruined yet? The good news is no. The bad news is this is the chance right now. This is it. If you continue to book this dude another 4 or even 3 months like this, going into Survivor Series, let's just say that. I'm not waiting till Rumble or WrestleMania. If you continue to book this dude like a circus sideshow, we will only look at him as such. You have a limited window to turn this around. I'm giving this company to about maybe September. None of them, most of us, I'll say, do not want to do 3 to 4 months of Scooter McGee and Drew McIntyre horrible backstage skits. My name's BC Amplified. This has been the Amped Up Podcast, Monday, July 17th, 2023. I appreciate every single one of my Amplified unit, especially my gold team, my channel members. You guys absolutely rock to the highest of levels, my front lines, the most amped up of the Amplified unit. Until next time, and there will be a next time. Top guy, I'm out. Smash those ups if you haven't already. BC saying check you. Tomorrow, the Amped Up Monday Night Raw review. What are they gonna produce tonight? Oh, listen to this real quick, man. You thought I was late. Hold on, I got one more thing to say. They're promoting, I think it's Sami Zayn, speaking of, and Kevin Owens versus the Judgment Day. If that seems redundant, it's because you've already seen this over the last several weeks alone. It's just different variations. A 6-man tag. You've seen Damian and Finn. I think this is going to be Damian and Dum Dum tonight. But you're just seeing the same match. And that is what's supposed to pique the excitement for the WWE, as they call them, universe. Another rematch. They'll probably stuff that in the main event, and that's where you'll find Sami Zayn, if anybody is still awake or has the channel on the USA Network, because they actually still give a damn. Okay, that's it. BC, until next time, and there will be a next time, saying check you.